One of the interesting things about this figure is the color, particularly of the armor, and whether or not it is silver or blue. DorkLair! Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the Mythic Legions All-Stars 5+ Duban. The All-Stars waves are traditionally a place where the Four Horsemen allow the collectors to vote on which figures are going to get a reissue. And this time, yes, that occurred, but to me, the sort of more interesting thing about that wave was that they introduced some brand new characters, some brand new figures to the line through the All-Stars 5 waves. One of those figures being Duban, who I did a poll in the DorkLair channel, like in the community section of the DorkLair YouTube channel. And I asked which of the 4 new figures would people want to see me review first, and Duban won the vote. So Duban goes first. One of the interesting things about this figure is the color, particularly of the armor, and whether or not it is silver or blue. The initial promo pics made the figure look sort of a bluish silver, and then upon release, some people got the figure in hand and they posted some shots in, not the best lighting, and it looked very gray, not even silver, but sort of gray. But I'm happy to say that it very much, to me, at least to my eye, to my naked eye, and obviously my lights are not going to be the same as natural light, but when I held this figure in natural light, when I first took it out of the box, it definitely has a silver blue look to it. It's definitely not a straight gray or a straight silver compared to the other figures, and I'll show them in the comparisons. It's got a different tint to it. It's definitely not just straight gray or straight silver. Okay, getting in here for a close-up of the face, which is difficult to light because the hood casts so much shadow on the face, it's hard to see those green eyes, but I caught an angle right here where you can see his green eyes. It's a really great head sculpt, and I do kind of wish that they had gone with, maybe they just hadn't been thinking of this at this point, but in the Poxus wave, you have the character Zendi, who's going to come with the cape and the cloth cape and the cloth hood, whereas this is a plastic hood and a cloth cape. And while this looks great, I think this looks awesome, it's just not that versatile. So if I want to do like pop-in swaps and stuff, like I don't get this head separately. This head comes with the, it's attached to the hood. And then really, if you're going to do any swapping, you have to bring the cape along with it because this hood floating on its own doesn't quite make sense. So there's a limitation there in terms of like pop and swaps and stuff with this head. But otherwise, I think it looks great. I do like this hood. I believe it's the exact same hood that's on Valak the Vampire. And yeah, so just like a little close-up of that head sculpt. I did notice I have a little scuffing here, and I'm not entirely sure if I did that or if that was yanking it out of the package in my excitement or if it was already like that, but it's not too noticeable. I actually just barely noticed it, but a little scuff there. And the cape itself has some nice clean stitching with wires along all of the edges. The thing is huge. I mean, you can fan it out crazy far. I have it sort of folded back in on itself, but really big cape right there. And the cape is a situation where you just pop the head off and then there's a hole there and then you can put the head back on. And again, like this look is not doing it for me. So I will definitely always have this head with that cape. If I'm using this head, it's using that cape or some other way to make it make sense. And so with the cape off, we can take a look at the armor. So this is the second time now we've seen these shoulder pauldrons. Those are the Bardric pauldrons, and that battle damage there is part of the sculpt. I checked on Bardric's armor. So there's a few little like nicks and things that are part of the sculpt. It's difficult to tell. I don't know if you're going to be able to pick it up on the video, but the pauldron is that blue silver, that silvery blue type color, and then the little rivets are a slightly different color. I think the rivets are more just like straight silver. So you have silver rivets, and then you have that steel blue kind of look to the armor there. And in the torso, this is the Red Shield Soldier torso, which is a little bit of a narrower torso. I love the paintwork on that. You have that great new steel blue color, and then you have a nice wash to give it some depth and detail on those sculpted pieces there. And then we have the skirt, also from Valak and Bardric, that's got those silver rivets. And again, you can see the difference between like the bluish color and then like the silver color at that point. And this belt here that's added to him. So Bardric and Valak had a different belt there, but that belt's got two places for weapons. So you can put the sword and the knife in those spots. And then he's got the cloth arms. So, you know, the sculpted arms that make it look like cloth, and then the cloth legs as well. The arms are sort of like a beige, almost like a light gray into beige. And then you have the matching loincloth for the arms so that it looks like there's like a tunic under the armor. And then the legs are a straight up brown. Same detail in the boots as the rest of the armor. And you got some nice little painted strap details there. And you've got the leather boots as well. The boots and the hands and the skirt all match the same sort of like bluish gray, I guess. And then the steel color on the bracers, the chest, the pauldrons, and then the front of the boots are all the same color. And then the bird is named Verderfolnir, which, since it has a name, I'm going to treat it like another character rather than an accessory. But it is a pretty static piece. You can move the head just side to side, and you could remove that head. And then here's a look at the original bird. So it kind of swapped out the head there, and then they gave it a different paint job, the one that came with Valak. And so there's a look at the front side of the bird. That cuff slides on over the arm. And then you've got the wings, which I think look fantastic on the back. Sort of this golden falcon type look right here. Very cool looking bird of prey. Here's a zoomed out angle of Duban so you can see the overall shape of the figure with the cape there and the head and the, that hood and all of that all in place. At the top of the hood, he is just under 7 inches. Here he is with a couple other Mythic Legions, particularly ones with whom he shares quite a few parts. On the left is primarily a Bardric, but it's a kit bash that utilizes a Von Berg Studios head sculpt. And then on the right is standard Valak with a Harker Customs cape. And then here he is with a couple other head swaps. On the left is a Sir Gerard with actually the Mezco 112 Collective Death Adder head. I removed the insert and put that head on Sir Gerard. And on the right is one of the Furious 4 figures, but with a Von Berg Tiger head sculpt. And these Von Berg head sculpts, I don't think they're available because these are part of the subscription box, which are exclusive to those boxes. So I don't think you'd be able to get them, but they are really cool, and I do highly recommend that subscription box. Next up, we have a couple silver figures. On the left is the Tibius figure with a custom head sculpt by Eric Miller, the old baseball Tibius. And on the right is Sir Owain with some cloth goods by Max Bird. And again, for color purposes, so that you can see him with some blue figures, here's Duban with Thalen Frostbow on the left and Skeletor on the right. And finally, so that you can see all the colors, we have gray, we have blue, we have silver. On the left is the Batman from The Dark Knight Returns by Mafex. And on the right, we have Quicksilver from Silverhawks by Ramen Toy. Next up, we have the accessories, and he does come with the Mythic Legions crossbow that a lot of other figures come with. And he didn't come with an arrow, interestingly enough, although I have a ton of those. But a lot of great paintwork and details on this thing. Their crossbows do have like the stretchy string on there, so and a clip for the arrow, so you can totally pose it with the arrow. And one of the nice things about this figure and the newer figures is that they do have vertical hinged hands now, which makes using this straight handled crossbow a lot easier. He's got one of the harder to find swords. It's the sword in sheath. They do not have a lot of sheathed swords in this line, so this is a nice addition. And they did a great job of painting those straps on the handle there. Really cool looking sword with a silver blade. And a couple little details on the top and bottom of that scabbard. He does come with this dagger, which has a little dot of paint on that little decoration or gem or what have you. Again, with this sort of green color scheme of these weapons. And a silver blade. And to be thorough, though I already showed the hawk, he does come with the hawk as sort of an accessory, though I consider it part of the character. Of course, the cape is removable, so you have that option. And in terms of hands, on the figure, he's got a pair of horizontally hinged standard gripping hands. He's got a pair of vertically hinged standard gripping hands. Finally, 2 pairs of gesturing hands. This is a pair of fists with horizontal hinges, and this is a pair of gesturing hands also with horizontal hinges. And for articulation, because of the hood, you're going to be very limited in what the head can do, but it can cock up and down a little bit. Mostly it can just turn side to side. There's just not a lot you're going to be able to do with a head. Understandably so, when it's got a hood that is sculpted like this, there's not going to be a ton of movement. but definitely like as much range side to side as you would need. And again, the cape is wired, so that adds to the posing options of this figure. So if you want to have the cape flowing out, that's part of the posing, and so I'm going to include it in the articulation. The shoulder pauldrons are pretty big, and they can get in the way for sure, but they have that hinge on the back, so they're pegged in singularly on the back there, and the arms can go out that far with the pauldrons on. They can go a little further if you take the pauldrons off, and they can hinge back and forth. You've got a single jointed elbow that's just about 90 degrees over here, and then there is a twist at the elbow. You've got a twist at the forearm with full rotation. There's a twist at the hand, and like I said, these have horizontal hinges, and some of them do have vertical hinges. A lot of great range in that lower ball jointed torso, so he can arch back, hunch forward, can sort of go side to side, and move around quite a bit in that torso. Legs can kick out. Really nice soft skirt piece here, so nothing really limiting him going forward. They can go way back as well. He can go out into the splits, twist at the top of the thigh, single jointed knee, comes up to about 90 degrees. There's a twist below the knee, ankle rockers, and then you have a hinge that can point up and down, and of course a twist at that ankle as well. So that'll do it. I think this is a fantastic figure. They did a great job with this cape. C. Jessam is just killing it with all the cloth goods on these figures. And you have that really unique color that just hasn't really been seen in this line. And that might be what's throwing people off. It definitely has a blue tint to it. But I could see certain lighting, maybe like shelf lighting or some other kind of lighting, maybe making it look a little more gray than it actually is, but there's definitely a blue hint to it. And just a lot of value in the box. Great figure, really cool theme. I will be continuing to do the All-Stars 5 reviews. I'll get them out as quickly as I can. And so stay tuned for those. And until next time, may the force be with you.